And now our very own Karen Groff. Here is your clicker, and take it away, Karen.
Thank you. I am Karen Groff, and I guess I'm here today. Now I know why everybody was doing this. I'm here today because I'm Dan's mom, and you're here today because you're someone's mom or dad or loved one. The bottom line is you care. And you will already know a lot of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today. But to start us off, what does it mean to be Dan's mom? Well, one of the first things I think about is that he's getting bigger and taller, and I'm getting older and weaker. And that's a mismatch. Our guy is 36 years old. He's 6'1" tall. And he is kind of a bundle of energy, as I know a lot of your kiddos are as well. And when I look at life over the course of, the LGS world that we've been in, there's so many times when we're in sprint mode. And we've had to learn over time that all those sprints equal a marathon, and to be careful about how we allocate our energy and our time. Jeff and I decided early on, back in the day when there was no internet, sort of like, the dark ages, and Danny was first diagnosed, we didn't know any other families. It was hard to find doctors that knew what the scoop was, and we decided that together is the only way. And that's what I want to make sure that you're thinking about, what your together is. Is that you and your child, you and your spouse, you and your medical team? But to kind of jump to the end of the slide as well, we've learned to create and care for Team Dan, and to make sure Team Dan is helping us every step of the way, and that we can prepare for that consistently and consistent nature of LGS. It's crazy, isn't it? Oops, I did it twice. Let's go back. So you already know that the LGS road is long and winding and bumpy and wild and unpredictable and rewarding. And so let's kind of think about over time, over the years, what are some of the things along the road that you're probably already impacted by? Well, diagnosis, secondary diagnoses, you're always making adjustments based on those. Like our son happens to have type 1 diabetes as well as LGS. He was about 12 when that was diagnosed, and it literally took about 36 seconds to diagnose it. His blood sugar was crazy high. We were slammed into the hospital to learn how to do that, and oh my heck, suddenly we are making adjustments in our already really crazy life and saying to people, that he can't have type 1 diabetes. He already has LGS. This has to be wrong, right? Well, no, we have to adjust to that. It wasn't wrong. You've got marriage, you've got family, you've got sibling issues, you've got extended family issues, you've got finances, working, not working, being late to work, getting phone calls in the middle of work, all those things that in, I guess, someone's regular life isn't that big of a deal, and in our lives, that's a big deal. You've got early intervention, school age, adult programming, puberty. That was a ride, let me tell you. And Danny had he was in a study at Cincinnati Children's Hospital for a particular medication, but it also sort of landed us in a puberty study. So they would be telling us things like, well, at the stage he's in right now, he's getting testosterone surges every 90 seconds. And that will amp someone up or cause difficulty with sleep. And we're like, every 90 seconds? Are you serious? No wonder we're getting some of these crazy behaviors. There's respite issues, guardianship issues, behavioral issues, and those have looked different for us over time. Like someone mentioned yesterday, when they're little, you sort of scoop them up and you can work through whatever. Well, when you're big and they're having a meltdown, we end up on the floor with him sometimes, waiting for him to get out of that, amygdala brain or that animal brain so that we can start to process and move forward. So I really liked yesterday when we were looking at a brain first kind of thing. Community access. I know you guys all work on things like that. For us, and community access was really awesome. We have a nurse, Frederica. She's down there snuggling with Danny. She pushes the envelope on community access, which is really, really good for Jeff and I. For example, they would go out on date night on Friday nights to Wendy's prior to the pandemic. And that was like literally his highlight of the week, got to know all the Wendy's staff, had his own personal Wendy's booth. And it really didn't matter whether somebody was or was not sitting in his booth, it was still his booth. So Jeff and I would be, yeah, you get it, right? Jeff and I would be the type who we would probably body check him and drag him to another booth so we wouldn't bother someone at Wendy's. But Frederica is so cool. She would just introduce him to the people at the booth, inform them that, you know, this is his booth and we're glad that they're there together. And he was just gonna hang out with them for a little bit while she ordered. So she is great at pushing in. Yeah, she's awesome. There's safety at home, safety out and about. There's just kind of that whole idea of establishing a new normal over and over and over again. What's normal? Well, they closed his Wendy's, rude, reopened another one down the street, and we had to go through the process of Danny choosing a new booth. So that was kind of like his new normal, right? Transition to adult care has been a particular big bump in the road or big turn for our family because we learned that the rules and laws are different for adult care versus, say, school-age care. And so we had to really look carefully at what was going to be the best option for him. He now rides a van instead of a bus. He doesn't like that as well, but it's his new normal and he's gotten used to it. And we kind of like it, to be honest. But one of the things that doesn't feel normal to us still is the fact that he can't stay all day at his day program, even though most of the participants there would do that. Seizures, no big deal. LGS, no big deal, which I'm like, well, yeah, they really are. But what keeps him from staying all day is his diabetes. And we're like, wait a second, you know, diabetes is child's play compared to LGS. Can't we work something out so he can get some insulin and an injection at lunch? Well, that boils down to nursing care because they cannot delegate the injection of insulin while they can delegate administration of Diastat. And we're like, no, that doesn't make sense. We're working on that, but we're not there yet. The transition from pediatric care to adult care was also very challenging. We get attached to our care teams if they're great, and we did have great care teams. And we kind of know who to call and how to get what we need, and they look at the whole picture of the child, and they look at the whole picture of the family. Well, that's not exactly how that works in adult care because we have the specialists that really zero in on that one thing. Adult hospitals are not as, in our experience, not as good at dealing with someone with an intellectual delay or significant intellectual delay or behaviors or this giant body with a toddler kind of mind and mentality. So we always are ready to help with that. The biggest frustration probably is getting everyone to work together in the adult arena. So you might have experienced that as well. Legal guardianship is another sort of, you know, like switchbacks in the road because once your child turns 18, you're no longer considered their legal guardian, which if you have typically developing peers, they like to throw that up to you. But you know, with our kiddos with LGS, we have to take steps to ensure that we have guardianship or conservatorship, and that is where you need to get a probate court judge to appoint you your child's legal guardian. And there's a whole process that I'm sure varies state to state that would help determine what's the data or the documents that would be needed to establish this guardianship. So, I mean, I get kind of feisty, and Jeff's calm. My husband is very calm. But I get mad that I have to go in front of a judge and have them tell me that I'm fit to be my child's guardian. Well, you take him for a day and then tell me, you know. So, and every year there's paperwork to file that costs us all of $6, but we have to go to the bank and get a cashier's check and blah, blah, blah. And I get feisty every single year because I'm like, oh, geez. So we've learned in becoming more proactive and less reactive over time, we have a filter that we use. Is he safe? Is he happy? If he's learning and growing, man, that's icing on the cake. That's really fantastic. So we try to look at things through that lens. So for example, when he had a corpus callosotomy 10 years ago yesterday, he was not safe. And we needed to make some kind of decision to help him be more safe. He was having drop seizures, he was having status. We were in the emergency room every 2 or 3 weeks. You know, it's bad when the emergency people are like, hey, Danny, you know, what's going on? And so we made the decision to have that corpus callosotomy. Awesome in our case, and we'd be glad to talk with anyone more about that. But we also work with the rule of 5. You know, is this going to matter in 5 minutes? Is this going to matter in 5 hours? What about 5 days or months or years? And try to let go of things that aren't going to matter in 5 minutes or even 5 hours. So with that case of guardianship, it matters that Jeff and I are his legal guardians. So I try to let go of that. This is so, you know, ridiculous or whatever. Now, in another case, the rule of 5, Danny has, his smile is really beautiful. His mommy and daddy love that smile. And it's completely made up of fake teeth. It is, he bashed them out years ago with a seizure, and you guys have been through that. And he had a dental appliance that our pediatric dentist helped us do and all that. Well, the appliance lasted a long time, but eventually fell out when he was in adult care. Well, the adult care dentist said to me, you ready for this? Yes, that's right. Said to me, do you think he really needs teeth? Right? I'm like, this is a dentist speaking, number one, who I thought committed his you know, life to. And so my first instinct was to haul back and just, you know, or to say, so do your teeth matter to you? And I assumed he would say yes, but I really took that deep breath and thought, is this going to matter in 5 minutes? Is this going to matter in 5 hours? Well, our end goal is getting teeth back in Danny's mouth and having his happy smile. So instead, I got my phone out and I said, see this smile? His mommy loves this smile. And we really, really, really need your help. So building bridges, and now this dentist is practically our best friend. I don't know if he even remembers that he said that, but we really do try to fall back on these couple of things in navigating that home, family, community thing. So just want to end by saying Happy Father's Day to all the dads, but particularly the dad that is at our house, Jeff, because he is that dad that will protect him no matter what. There he is with a broken leg, and we had gotten him outside for a little fresh air. It starts to rain. Jeff has 2 umbrellas, and he's taking care of things, and Jeff is really the ultimate caregiver. Special shout out to, I know there's some fiancés and significant others here, for the first time this conference, and a special shout out to those of you who are choosing to be this dad. It's amazing, and happy Father's Day. So with LGS, along that winding road, yeah. Along that winding road, you all know that there's rain, there are thunderstorms, sometimes there's hurricanes, there's tornadoes, but there are also rainbows. And we also really try to celebrate those rainbows. So thank you and happy Father's Day again.
Karen, that was fantastic. Karen's a true inspiration for me and my family. And when I first met her, I thought, what a kind, mild-mannered woman who's really got it figured out. And here I am, the person that wants to punch everybody. And look at her feisty, like, right? Hell hath no fury like an LGS mom, right? So Jeff, thank you for keeping her in line too on that front. But no, I'm just kidding. We have a few minutes for questions. Are there any questions for Karen about her journey? And yeah, if you want to bring up the lights. And I'm tracking the online to see if anybody, but she is one of our exceptional ambassadors and mentors. We have a question here, and she's the person that's really helping me and guiding, and she takes it all with such grace that I work for, because usually I take it with anger, so thank you. Right back here, first question.
Hey, Karen, has Danny had to have his wisdom teeth removed?
Yes.
How'd that go?
You know, it was fine. We did it with our pediatric dentist team, but he bounced back really, really well. We were nervous about, you know, anything getting up in there because he's not the best toothbrusher.
Right.
But he really pretty much breezed through it.
What age? Do you remember?
Was he like 22? I'm looking at Jeff. Like, it was before the corpus callosotomy for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other questions? There's one here in the back. Oh, one over here? Great. We'll go with whoever gets the mic first.
Hi,
It's
good
like
morning.
Extreme question asking.
For being the caregiver of my daughter, she's 14. I heard you going through that. How early do I have to file that through the courts?
Oh, that's
in the
a great
process?
question. I did research just for this particular talk, and the research I saw recommends 17 and a half, that you have everything in motion. Someone else said, depending on their area, it might be as early as 16. We actually hired an attorney, and there are some that do it pro bono, because we did not have a lot of time to be researching and looking things through. So I would say 17 and a half at the latest. Schools should be talking with you about that if your kiddo is in a school program or an adult program. So we actually did it later than we should have, and that was a little bit tricky because we did not have guardianship for him for a while, and I would not recommend that for sure. We did that wrong. Okay?
There's a question from home.
Okay.
How do you and Jeff envision your son's care as you guys age?
Okay. That's the tough one, right? And we already are aging. Like, think to yourself, how old am I in LGS years? You know, like dogs have, I don't know, is it 7 years for every person life or something like that? LGS is, you know, like, whoa. So our daughter and son-in-law have offered to take him, but we do not really want that life for them, that 24/7 caregiving life. So our vision that we hope that we could get to work out is to have him stay in our home with 24-hour care right in our home. And that would be, I think staffing that will be the tricky part. We think we could fund it between assets that we'll leave for him and also like the waiver that he's on. But staffing will be the tricky part, so that's our vision.
Great. I think we have one last question here. No? Question? No?
We're good?
Okay, great. Karen will be on our panel in just a moment, so thank you, Karen. That was wonderful.